The first month of the NBA season is incredibly important for teams to figure out their identities the rest of the season, and in this process, they likely also figure out where they need to improve. December is when a lot of contracts become tradable, and January continues as such, so we're approaching the period where trade season may start to heat up. In anticipation of that, Bleacher Report published an article addressing just that. Their goal was to predict 4 blockbuster trades that could be coming on the horizon to help rising teams solidify themselves as contenders. So as always, we'll be going through each one, analyzing whether or not they make sense, why or why not the teams involved would want to do it, and who benefits the most from it. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first trade proposed in the article is between the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers, where the Warriors receive Norman Powell in exchange for Jonathan Kuminga and D'Anthony Melton. Just 1 month ago, a trade offer like this would look absolutely outrageous, and even though I'm not saying it isn't still a bold one to throw out there, we have actually gotten to a point where I can at least see where the logic behind something like it comes from. The Warriors are hanging around the top of the Western Conference standings 1 month in, and as long as Steph Curry is there playing at a high level, they're going to have to prioritize winning in the short term to maximize the time that he has left. Right now, the Warriors' success is coming by way of a full-on group effort, as the team is very deep with plenty of players contributing bits and pieces in each position. The issue, though, is that they don't really have a real number 2 option scoring-wise next to Steph Curry, and when it comes to winning a title, the fact of the matter is that 1 star in today's NBA is rarely enough to cut it. Jonathan Kuminga was seen as a prime breakout candidate this season because of this, but instead he's taken a few steps backward, proving to be one of the bigger disappointments this year, which has lowered his value on the trade market for sure, but he's still a young promising talent that teams would be willing to take a swing on in the trade market. I'm just not sure if the Clippers are the team that would want to do it. There was a time where a package of Kuminga and another asset for Norman Powell would have been seen as a huge overpay for the Warriors, but now I honestly don't think it's enough to get the Clippers to cough up Powell. Powell is having the best year of his career this season, averaging an efficient 24 points per game, playing a huge role in the Clippers staying afloat in Kawhi Leonard's absence. The Clippers are surprisingly only a half game back of the Warriors in the standings, and with Kawhi Leonard returning soon, they could actually prove to be a force. If their season was headed in the wrong direction and they were near the bottom of the standings, I may have understood the logic behind taking a swing on Kuminga, but with Powell playing so well and the team potentially about to get even better, it doesn't make sense for them to trade away their leading scorer for an inconsistent and raw prospect like Kuminga. The next proposal from the article is between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Charlotte Hornets, where the Hornets receive Zion Williamson in exchange for Tijan Salon, Grant Williams, Cody Martin, Vasily Micic, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick. The Pelicans are by far the most disappointing team in the Western Conference, and it's not even close. They put together a squad featuring Zion, Brandon Ingram, DeJounte Murray, and CJ McCollum, plus promising wings like Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, but due to a combination of unfortunate injury luck and just poor effort on the court night to night, the team currently has the worst record in the West. It's getting to the point where, with all of the money being tied up in this current core, they may have to hit the eject button and just blow it up, focusing on a true rebuild in the near future, because the fact of the matter is that this group is just not going to get very far together. If or when that happens, Zion Williamson becoming available would be an opportunity that the basketball world would love to see the Charlotte Hornets pounce on here. LaMelo Ball is taking a massive leap this season, going from a star to potentially being one of the best players in the whole league, currently ranking 2nd in the NBA in scoring behind only Giannis Antetokounmpo, and his ability to threaten defenses that much as a scorer while also being an elite passer and playmaking threat would make the life of Zion Williamson so much easier. year. Zion's injury history may hold him back from being the bouncy freak of nature athlete he once was, but when he is on the court, he's still an unbelievable scoring threat around the basket and in transition, and LaMelo would easily be the best point guard that he has ever played with. 2 first-round picks, some useful veterans, and a player in Tijan Salon, who was just a lottery pick in this year's draft, is a pretty solid haul for a team with a rebuild in mind. And if they actually do look to move Zion Williamson, they're going to have to understand that his injury history is going to hurt his trade value in the eyes of potential suitors, making this one a pretty good one for both parties involved. The next proposal from the article is between the Orlando Magic and the Charlotte Hornets, where the Magic receive LaMelo Ball in exchange for Cole Anthony, Anthony Black, Jet Howard, Tristan da Silva, 2 first-round picks, and 2 first-round pick swaps. So obviously this deal won't happen if the last deal we just discussed goes down, but we can assume all of these happen in a vacuum without taking into account the others in the article in order to analyze them properly. The Hornets aren't exactly in a great spot themselves, currently sitting in 12th place in the East with a record of 6-14. LaMelo is playing so well right now that they're going to receive some calls from teams wanting to trade for him, whether the Hornets are offering him up or not. And if the Hornets' season continues to disappoint, it's going to get harder and harder to continually say no, especially if some big offers come in. Right now, the Magic are in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. They've won 6 games in a row, and they don't even have Paolo Banchero for this hot streak, since he's out due to injury. When Paolo comes back, there's reason to believe that the Magic could legitimately contend in an otherwise mediocre Eastern Conference, but realistically, they're still not good enough of an offensive team to accomplish this yet. The Magic are currently the 22nd ranked offense in the NBA, and are dead last in the NBA in 3-point percentage. Franz Wagner is emerging as a legitimate shot creator, and Paolo is pretty established in that regard as well, but they're clearly missing a creative point guard to set up teammates and alleviate the stresses that come from running a productive offense. LaMelo would be an incredible fit in Orlando, but I just don't think this offer is quite enough to get it done. LaMelo is still just 23 years old, putting up 31 points and 7 assists per game. We just saw Mikal Bridges get traded for 5 first-round picks plus more, so realistically in this market, if the Magic really wanted a young superstar point guard, they're going to have to cough up a hell of a lot more than just 2 first-round picks and other players in their offer. And finally, the last proposal from the article is between the San Antonio Spurs and the Milwaukee Bucks, where the Spurs receive Giannis Antetokounmpo in exchange for Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Malachi Branham, Zach Collins, and 5 first-round picks. Giannis very well may be on his way to winning another MVP award this season with how well he's playing, but the team around him just has not shown to be anywhere near contender worthy, and the only reason they've been able to turn their season around somewhat after the disaster of a start they had was because Giannis is playing at an otherworldly level. Needing Giannis to play the best basketball of his life, game in and game out, only to barely be above 500 is just not a recipe for long-term success, and there have already been rumblings about Giannis's time in Milwaukee potentially coming to an end in the near future. So with that being said, this offer comes about dreaming of a world where the 2 biggest freaks of nature athletes in the league get to team up and form a Twin Towers lineup, the likes of which we've never seen before. We talk a lot about needing absolutely gargantuan offers to be thrown out there in order to actually get teams to consider moving some of the best players in the league, and honestly, this is what you would have in mind when that's said, because the Spurs offer here is pretty insane. The truth of the matter is that Giannis will never be traded unless he himself comes out and requests a trade, but if that does happen, then the opportunity to play with Victor Wembanyama and hopefully be coached by Greg Popovich as long as Pop recovers from his current health issues, that would be pretty tempting. 5 first-round picks is how you get your foot in the door. The plethora of young talent and veteran contributors bolsters it further. I just don't see anything really happening for at least another year though. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these proposed trades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.